The town of Yanille is heavily guarded and reinforced by a surrounding wall. Found south of Ardougne beyond the Khazard lands, its main purpose is to guard the lands of Kandarin from the ogres of the Feldip Hills to the south. Many of its residents are soldiers under the command of Colonel Radek. Though the date of Yanille's construction is unknown, it was likely built sometime following the rise of Kandarin in the early years of the Fifth Age. As Kandarin grew and clashed with the established ogre forces to the south, the need for such a settlement would have grown too. As the ogre forces continued to trouble the Yanillian forces, the Watchtower building was built along the northern wall, set up with a magical generator that protects against the ogres. As the town grew and became more established, and with runecrafting being rediscovered and the powers of magic reinforced, the Wizards Guild was established. The wizards of the guild are among the best in the world and have established a guild for others of talent, connecting other magical towers via teleportation. Nearby to the town is the observatory, a marvel of construction. The art of astronomy was first created by the Zamorakian Scorpius during the Fourth Age. He was the first to map the stars, naming a constellation after himself, with the art of astronomy being seen as an affront to the gods. As well as his Zamorakian beliefs, he was persecuted and killed. Though parts of his art live on in the current-day observatory, it is unknown when the building and telescope within it were first constructed. As he ventures down into Yanille today, Citizenscape will need to complete 2 quests, the Watchtower quest and the Observatory quest. He only has 1 achievement to do today, and that is to view Alex Hunter Emporium. We have a lot of skill tasks to do today. We'll need to smith on the anvil in Yanille, plant Yanillian hops in the hops patch, make use of the ranges in the cookery shop and the observatory reception building, chop down a tree behind the anvil house, use the northern agility shortcut, fish trout, pike and salmon in the nearby river and cook each of these fish, and finally we'll need to create a grapple bridge across the gap to the observatory. For our miscellaneous tasks, we'll need to make a purchase of a dragon bitter at the Dragon Inn, make purchases at Alex Hunter Emporium and Leon's prototype crossbow shop, make a purchase at Frenetta's cookery shop, enter the Yanille agility dungeon, and finally stand atop the Yanille west gate wearing a steel medium helmet, steel chain body, leather gloves, leather boots and a steel longsword. With all that in store for today, let's begin. We're walking into Yanille today. We can see right away that the large wall and cages at the entrance give off a very martial vibe. Checking around, we find a bank quite quickly. It's always handy to have a bank nearby. Just south of the bank is a house with anvils in it. We don't have permission to use them just yet, but it's good to know that they're here. We approach the nearby tower that has magical lights around it. We knock on the door only to be told that we're not allowed in as we're not skilled enough practitioner of magic. Typical guild stuff. We next check out a house on the north side, a residential place. The house is quite nice with a piano and everything. Checking out the upstairs, we find a sick man in bed. He doesn't appreciate us being in his room. He has a cup of tea on the dresser nearby which we attempt to give to the poor man, but he gets angry when we reach for it. I guess we'll leave. Nearby to the house is a patch of wheat and an empty hops patch. We have some Yanillian hops which would be perfect to grow here. Grabbing them from the bank, we rake the patch and plant the seeds, paying a basket of tomatoes to the gardener to protect it. There's a hole under the wall to the north side which we can squeeze through. This would save some time instead of going around. There's an abandoned house here with thick webbing covering the entrance. We don't have anything on us to get past it. To the west of it is a watchtower and a fountain. We may as well fill up our watering can while we're here. Checking out nearby, there's a bunch of cows. We can milk the dairy cow before we head back under the wall. With a knife, we can return to the webbing and slash through it, making a passage into the building. There are stairs here leading down. Let's check it out. As we descend, we're attacked by aggressive giant bats. We walk around them, noticing old sets of armor lining the walls before we reach an obstacle that we're not sufficiently agile enough to cross. Let's go back. Back under the wall, we check out the next building, which appears to be a barracks kitchen for the guard. There's a dairy churn here, which we can use to make the milk into a pot of cream. We leave it here on the table before noticing the sink and range. We can make use of the sink to fill a bucket and then talk to Frenita to see what she sells. Looking at the stock, we have a few ideas. We're going to need a lot of water for our idea, so we return with an inventory full of buckets and fill them with water at the sink. We're going to need a lot of flour too, so make use of the wheat field, picking an inventory full of wheat. To get the flour, we're going to have to mill this wheat. The closest mill is north of Ardougne. Let's get going. Once we make it to the mill, we deposit all our wheat into the hopper. It takes some time to deposit them one at a time, but thankfully we can deposit a whole inventory without having to collect it. Strangely, the amount of wheat that can be deposited is 30, not 28, which may be a result of RuneScape Classic's inventory of 30 being carried over. Neat. Returning to the mill with our pots, we collect the flour and make our way back to Yanille. Needing space in our inventory for the pastry dough, we mix 9 buckets of water and pots of flour at a time, looking to make a full 28 pastry dough. Once we have all of our dough, we make them into pie crust in our pie tins. We said previously that we'd have enough tins to feed an army of dwarves. Looks like we might be right. With 28 pie crusts, we need some filling. We have some red berries for 2 pies and enough raw beef for another 10. We need to cook the beef first, then place it into the tins. For our final pie crusts, we're looking to use an apple filling. We have a few apples in the bank from our apple tree, but we're going to get the rest from Frenita with our purchase here today. Buying 6 apples from her, we fill our final pie crusts and cook up all of our pies. As we cook the first few up, we get level 37 cooking. Not bad. While we successfully cook most of them, we do burn a few. That's okay, we accounted for that. With a nice stock of pies, we'll be good on food for a little while. We check out the next house along where Bert lives. He owns the sand pit near to his house and doesn't mind us collecting sand from it for glass making. There's a house portal here in Yanille too. To move a house here we'd need level 50 construction, a tier 2 requirement. We'll move in here one day. With Bert's permission we collect up a bunch of sand. We only have 1 seaweed in the bank, but we can get more from Trader Stan's dock stores if we need it.
Be you friend or foe?
What?
Friend or foe?
To Yanille? Friend, definitely friend.
Good, good. I'm Colonel Radic. I'm in charge here.
I'm Citizenscape. I'm new here and looking to fit in. Can you tell me why is the town so heavily fortified?
Why, the ogre threat to the south, of course.
An ogre threat?
Indeed. Yanille lies upon the southern border of Kandarin. Further south is the Feldip Hills, which is ogre territory. Our job is to defend Yanille and Kandarin as a whole from their attacks.
Sounds dangerous. How do you defend from ogres?
The powerful magic of the Watchtower keeps most of them away, though it's not working right now.
Not working? How come?
You'd have to ask the Watchtower wizards about all that. Say, you were looking to fit in here, right? How about this? If you can help the wizards get their generator back up and running, I'll consider that good progress towards becoming a citizen in the town.
Really? That sounds good to me. Count me in. We're going to make our way to the Watchtower to see what we can do to help these wizards. We're going to quickly make a stop at the bank first though to get rid of all this sand. On our return we find another way over the walls, some rocks that we can climb. Heading into the tower and towards the ladder, however, we're stopped by a guard who won't let us past. We need to get up to the top floor, but this tower guard is working on other orders. There must be another way up. Finding a trellis upon the side of the tower, it can be climbed into a window on the next floor up, giving us a way to the wizards. On the top floor, we can see a generator surrounded by 4 pillars which are seemingly empty. Finding the wizard in charge, we talk to them. They tell us that the Watchtower isn't working and that the Watchtower uses an ancient spell to ward off ogres. Though the wizards don't remember the exact spell, they know that the spell requires 4 empowering crystals to work. The problem is that the crystals have been taken from the pillars, so the spell is failing. Offering to help, the wizard asks us to search out any evidence of what may have happened to the crystals, starting by looking in the bushes outside the tower. The wizard will also pass on to the guards that we're helping investigate, so that we don't need to climb the trellis to get back up. We head down the ladder and out to the area surrounding the tower. There are a lot of bushes. This is going to take some time. We systematically begin our search, making sure to check through every bush. We first find an old robe stashed away in a bush. This could be a clue, but we need to be thorough, so we keep looking. As we go, we find an eye patch, some long fingernails, a damaged dagger, and a set of unusual armor. With all this evidence, we return to the tower. Searching through the evidence we provided, the wizard's focus is set upon the fingernails we found and not any of the other more interesting stuff. The wizard believes that the fingernails are those of Scavid, a race of servants to the ogres, which is likely how they bypass the warding. Despite having a likely culprit for the theft, the wizard doesn't suggest looking through the scabbard caves. The tunnels are complex and deep. Without a map, we will be lost. He suggests that we enter the ogre city of Gu'Tanoth and seek out a map. We need to impress the guards if we're to get in, however. The ogres are said to be dangerous, so we've geared up before heading out. Passing beyond the Yanille gatehouse, we notice an island of ogres in a lake. A sturdy tree on the island holds a rope swing, and a similar tree on the bank might be a way across. We'll need some rope. Running to the bank and fetching some rope, we make our way to the tree and swing across. The chieftain of these ogres is an ogre named Gu'Tanoth. Looking to find a way into the ogre city, we offer to help him. He tasks us with finding his rival, Borad, to the southeast and knocking his teeth out. How barbaric. While leaving this island, we find some jangaberries on the ground. We've never seen these before, let's grab some. Swinging back to the other side, we journey down to the southeast where Gu'Tanoth mentioned. We find another island of ogres separated by a broken bridge. Unable to cross the bridge, we'll need to find an alternative way across. We keep on heading down to the area south of the city, passing by some swamps and some old ruins. There's a hole here which we can enter that takes us through a long tunnel to the island that we need to visit. Handy. Talking with Tobin, the chief here, we ask how he might enter the ogre city. He wants us to bring him dragon bones to chew on. We've never even seen a dragon, I don't know how we'd take one out. While we're here, we find Borad, Gru's rival. He attacks us and starts to deal some serious damage. We're gonna need food if we're to take him out. Good thing we made so many pies. Returning with food, we have a much more successful fight, knocking out Borad and taking a tooth as a trophy. The ways of ogres are quite rough. Good thing they respect the strong. Returning to Gru and crossing back onto the island, he rewards us for the tooth, giving us a part of an old ogre relic and one of the crystals stolen from the tower. There's another chief not far from Gru's island named Ogre, who gives us a key to a chest that Tobin took from him containing his gold. He tasks us with returning the gold to him. If we're going to have to return to Tobin's island to get the gold, we'll need to get some dragon bones too. With no idea where dragons can even be found, and seeing dragon slaying is beyond our tier abilities, we make our way to the Grand Exchange where all manner of things can be bought and sold. Buying a set of dragon bones, we make the journey back to Remington, Ardougne, through Yanille and over to Tobin. We take back the gold that was stolen from Og, then drop off the dragon bones to Tobin. In exchange for the bones, he considers us a friend and gives us another part of the ogre relic. Returning the gold to Og, he too gives us part of the relic. We're not really sure how to assemble this relic, so we head back to the Watchtower wizards, climbing the wall in Yanille and heading up the tower. The wizard takes the statue pieces and tells us that the relic is a status symbol of an old ogre warrior. He assembles the statue and hands it back to us. With this, we grab some food and head towards the gate guards in Gu'Tanoth. There are 2 gates guarded by ogre guards. We check out the southern one, showing off our new relic, but the guard wants us to give him a bar of gold as well for entry. Let's check out the western gate instead. The guards of the western gate are satisfied with the relic, which is called the Statue of Dalgroth, allowing us passage into the city. Heading down the path, we enter a marketplace which is heavily guarded and surrounded by lava pools. We try to enter the Enclave cave to look around a bit more, but we're attacked for trying. We talk to a trader and they attack us too. At least not all the traders are completely hostile. Talking to one of the chieftains, they're not happy that we're here, calling us vermin. Okay, so the marketplace isn't the friendliest place overall, and nobody there seemed to have a map of the scabbard caves. Let's keep looking around. Further up the path beyond the marketplace, we're stopped by more guards. They agree to let us pass their barrier if we get them food from the marketplace. The owner of the rock cake stall won't sell to us, even attacking us despite us proving ourselves a friend to the ogres. That's not very nice of him, so we'll have to grab a rock cake off the table instead. Giving a rock cake to the ogre guard, we can pass the barricade they set up and head further in. It's not long before we're stopped again at another bridge and told that we need to pay 20 gold to jump the bridge. These ogres sure love extorting us for passage. We have no money on us though, so we'll need to head back to the bank in Yanille, grabbing coins and returning. Crossing the barricade again, we return to the guard and pay for the right to jump over the broken bridge. This seems fair. Now that we're in the deepest part of the city, we talk to the city guard and ask about a map of the scabbard caves. The ogre agrees to help us if we answer a riddle. They want us to bring an item that matches the answer, giving us a pretty simple riddle. The first letter of the item is in the word days, but not in the word years. That's D. The second is in both evil and tears. That's an E. The third is in the word all, but not in the word none. That could be an A or an L. The fourth letter is in hot, but not in sun, or that could be a H, O, or T. The fifth letter is in heaven, and also in hate, so H, E, or an A. The sixth is in fearing, but not in fate, or that could be an R, I, N, or G. The seventh letter is in plush, but not in place, so that's either U, S, or H. The eighth letter is in mind, but not in sight, so an M, N, or E. The final letter is in earth, and also in great, so E, A, R, or a T. With a little bit of shuffling, we can match the letters to spell out Death Rune. Thankfully, we found one earlier when we were first checking out the area south of the city. We head back to the area, finding another. On our return, we have to pay another 20 gold to cross the bridge. This is just extortion. In exchange for working out the riddle, the ogre provides us with the map, just as he promised. If we're going to navigate the scabbard caves, we'll need some light and a tinderbox, so we grab them from the bank. Heading into the scabbard caves around the city, the scabbards speak a strange language that we don't understand. We do find some deadly nightshade in one of the caves. This is new, we'll hold on to this. After trying all the other caves on the outside of the city, we see two caves within the city itself. One of these contains a scared scabbard who tells us that the mad scabbard in the city cave has the gem we need, but they won't talk to us unless we speak scabbard. The scared scabbard tells us a little of their language and suggests that we practice on the other scabbards. Making our way back into the other caves, we practice the language, taking note of the responses that work with the words that we know. To get to the mad scabbard, we're going to need to get past the gate ogres here, which means we'll need a gold bar. Thankfully, we were given a gold bar for helping the goblins in Goblin Village so long ago, so we bring it and offer it to gain entry into the mad scabbard cave. Using our newly learned language skills, we impress the mad scabbard enough to be rewarded the purple Watchtower gem. The mad scabbard tells us that the other gems are held by the ogre shamans and buried in an ancient rock within the enclave. We'll need to get past the enclave guards of where to get them back. Noticing a hole in the mad scabbard cave, we follow it through, finding ourselves back in Yanille. So this is how the scabbards got the crystals for the ogres. We're going to need to distract these enclave guards, and we think we might have a way. With the nightshade we recovered earlier, we can distract the ogre guards enough to get past into the enclave. Was that a real dragon? Did that shaman just take it out in one hit? I think we're a little beyond our abilities here. We might have just said we're not scared when entering the enclave, but things change. Let's get out of here. The wizards of the Watchtower have an idea of how we might defeat the shamans. They're powerful with magic, but a potion may bypass their magical defenses. We're going to need a guam potion, jangaberries, and bat bones for this potion. We can make a guam potion from the ingredients we have in the bank. We've also collected some jangaberries earlier. While we don't have any bat bones on us, we know where we can get some in the dungeon near the Watchtower. Defeating a giant bat and getting a defense level, we can mix up the potion and return to the Watchtower to have it enchanted. Distracting the guards again and getting back into the enclave, we also bring a pickaxe to mine the rock that we were told contains one of the gems. With the potion, we can carefully maneuver around the scary dragons and take out the shamans one at a time, recovering another crystal. Making our way to the rock in the middle of the enclave, we mine it for the fourth and final crystal. Let's get back to the Watchtower. The wizards tell us to place the crystals back on their pillars and pull the lever to re-energize the magic of the Watchtower. In exchange for doing so, they pay us and offer us some magical training. With the magic scroll that the wizards gave us, we can now return to the Watchtower with a teleport, though we're not nearly accomplished enough as a wizard to use the spell right now. For helping the Watchtower wizards, Colonel Radek gives us permission to use the city's resources. With the anvils near the bank, we make a steel medium helmet and a steel longsword, plus some arrow tips. We're also going to cut down the tree behind the anvils for some timber. With our newly smithed gear and some items we had in the bank, we can gear up to appear like one of the Yanille Guard, allowing us to help out the town by patrolling the walls. At the end of our watch, we make our way back down off the walls and check out more of the town. There's a little pond here with some ducks. How quaint. There's an inn here also where the guards go after their shift. Speaking to the guard captain within the inn, he seems very drunk and is only concerned with his beers. Talking to the bartender, we purchase the inn's special, a dragon bitter, buying one for the guard captain too. He refuses it though, saying that he only likes regular beer. buying a regular beer from the bartender instead and offering it to the guard captain. He won't take it, seeing it as an insult. Can't impress this guy. We drink our dragon bitter before making our way out of the town to check out the local area some more. Not too far from Yanille, we find a winding river. Following the river down, we can cross the bridge, finding Castle Wars. Here, the forces of Zamorak and Saradomin fight it out for control of the area. We're not really looking to choose sides in this fight, but there's a nice bank here. Making use of the bank, we check out the area north of Castle Wars, finding a sleeping fisherman on the riverbank. Let's not wake him. Seeing the fishing opportunities here, we return to the Castle Wars bank and collect our rods and bait, before returning to catch a load of salmon, trout and pike. Walking underneath a crumbling bridge, we discover a building with an orrery set up in the lobby and charts of the stars on display. The professor here tells us that recently a group of goblins have moved into the ruined houses nearby and disrupted the function of a telescope in the observatory here. Parts of the telescope will need to be replaced if it's going to function again. Offering to help, we're tasked with bringing 3 planks of wood for repair. Since we're helping with the repairs, we're allowed to use the range here to cook some of our recent catch. We have planks in the bank, so we return to Castle Wars to grab them while depositing our fish and rods. Returning with the planks, the professor tells us that we need a bronze bar too. I don't know why he didn't just tell us that at the start. It would have saved us a trip. We return once again to the Castle Wars bank to grab a bronze bar, bringing it to the professor. Once we return with that, he tells us that he needs molten glass too. Seriously, this could have been one trip, though we don't actually have any molten glass in the bank. We do however have newly acquired buckets of sand and a single seaweed in the bank. We're going to need a furnace though. Returning to the nearest furnace in Ardougne, we're going to smith a few more steel bars now that our stocks have run out. After a bit of smithing, we cook up the seaweed into soda ash and then make the molten glass at the furnace. Okay, surely the molten glass is the last thing required? Nope. Now we need to track down a lens mold. The assistant tells us that the goblins have taken the mold and have probably taken it down into the tunnels below the nearby building for some strange use. Gearing up to be safe, we go to head into the dungeon, finding a vial of super anti-poison in the ruins on the surface. Never know, this may come in handy one day. Descending into the tunnels, we start to look through the maze, finding chests where the goblins may have hidden the mold. Searching through one of the chests, we're attacked by a poisonous spider. Good thing we grabbed that super anti-poison. After searching through a few more chests, we find one with a key. We'll hold on to this for now. Continuing through the tunnels, we find a locked gate guarded by a sleeping goblin. Beyond the gate is a kitchen where the goblins are using the mold for cooking. Trying to get through the gate, the goblin wakes up and attacks us, requiring us to defeat it to get through. We quickly grab the mold before making our way back to the surface and to the professor. Making the lens, the professor takes it to fix up the telescope, telling us to meet him up in the observatory. Before we meet him, we find a book called The Tale of Scorpius, the original astronomer. He studied the heavens in an attempt to commune with the gods. Eventually, he charted the movements of the stars. Though Scorpius was killed by Saradominists of the time, a grave was later constructed for him where his ghost is said to roam. Neat. The only way up to the observatory is via the goblin tunnels, so we track through them until we discover a way up. The professor welcomes us to the observatory and, after some calibration, allows us to look through the telescope. He asks us to identify the constellation we see, allowing us to check out the charts on the first floor to match them. Using that knowledge, we identify the constellation correctly and he rewards us with some fish and a gem. After learning about the stars, the professor also talks to us about coordinates for clue scrolls. Gives us a chart and advises us to get a sextant from Murphy in Port Pizard and a watch from Brother Kojo in the clock tower. Making our way to them, we collect the items and we can see about identifying the coordinates on our clue scroll. It seems that the place where the clue scroll notes is further north, not near us right now. We'll check this out another day. For now, we're going to buy a mithril grapple at the Grand Exchange and use it to make a pathway up the observatory hillside, allowing us quick access in future. With that, let's return to Yanille. With some money, we can make a purchase of a prototype crossbow from Leon, though we're not practiced enough with ranged weaponry to use it. We also come across a hunter shop run by Alec, buying a few of his wares. Alec tells us that the best places to hunt are the Feldip Hills south of Gu'Tanoth and the Piscatoris woodland, a little way northwest of Ardougne. We'll have to check those out one day. Checking out his store was the last of the achievements for the Ardougne area, allowing us to claim the Ardougne cloak from 2 Pints in the Flying Horse Inn. The cloak allows us to trade cats to the citizens of West Ardougne for death runes to help with their rat problem, as well as teleport to the Ardougne monastery. This is particularly helpful as we had no other means of teleporting in Kandarin until now. We also receive an experience lamp, which as usual we put into thieving, getting us a level. We try out the new teleport, which takes us right to the monastery. Neat. Back in Yanille, there's only a single house left for us to check out here near the anvils. We climb down the stairs that we find and are immediately stopped by a locked door while being attacked by bats. I wonder if this connects to the area near the Watchtower. Looking to follow up on the tale of Scorpius, we search around the nearby graveyard, finding his ghost. Seeking his wisdom, he hands us a mold for the unholy symbol of Zamorak, allowing us to craft an amulet with silver and some wool. We're going to have to make sure nobody in Ardougne sees it. Returning to him, he enchants it with Zamorakian power, making it into an unholy symbol. That's a new look. With all of today's excitement, the hops we planted are ready, so we managed to harvest 8 of them. It's been a long day in Yanille. We've observed the heavens, defended the Watchtower, and proved our citizenship to the town. We've learned a little about hunting areas to the south and already started to make friends in Gu'Tanoth. Though the ogres are not all that receptive to us, we're going to do our part to slowly make friends. Please join me next time as we explore Gu'Tanoth. If you'd like a chance to voice a character in the series, subscribe and join the Discord. Links in the description below.